Hi, welcome to Board Gems. In this video, I'll be comparing the two editions of Habitats, designed by Corné van Moorsel. And here they are. The larger box on the right is, I think this is it says right there on the box, third edition of the 2016 release of Habitats. The most recent edition on the bottom left from BoardGameTables, now known as Allplay, from 2022. As is typical for BoardGameTables/Allplay, the box is very, very small, much smaller than the original Cwali. And that's a fairly standard Cwali long box. I have a whole bunch of games of that format. Note that in gameplay, these games are identical. The BoardGameTables/Allplay edition is English only. Cwali's games are typically multilingual, as you can see here, English, German, French, and Dutch. Player count, time estimate, all the same. Inside the box, as is typical for BoardGameTables/Allplay, there is no insert. The game comes with a bag to hold a very nice bag to hold the tiles. The Cwali edition has a plastic insert with space for everything, which is not very helpful if you have to move the game around, because as you can see, the tiles go in the slots on the top, they stick out, which means that there's nothing covering or keeping in place all the pieces on the bottom. So you store this game vertically, for example, everything's gonna go everywhere. Well, the tiles are gonna stay in place, but those wooden pieces, no, they're not gonna stay in place. Not quite enough room on that top slot for some of the expansion tiles, which I have in a plastic bag there. The Cwali rulebook is thick because it is in 4 languages. It has lots of examples and very easy to learn the game from. I really like BoardGameTables and Allplay as a publisher, but there's one thing that just kind of bugs me a little bit about them is all their rules booklets are a single folded sheet. And look, all the information is there, but the only examples are found in those diagrams on the side, and so it's very easy to have rules questions. I understand why they do it. The shorter the rules explanation is, the simpler the game seems. The longer the rules explanation, the more complicated it seems. I find it's a little bit harder to learn the rules from this single sheet than from the original. Here we have the score tracks, believe it or not. In the Cwali edition, the score track is a fairly standard score track, and you'll have round wooden markers that move along that track. It is a little bit easy to jostle them. And it's not really necessary because you can score all the points at the end. And so what Allplay did was they added a erasable score sheet and included a dry erase marker as well. And you can see there's a little sub-board that goes over top of the scoreboard in the Cwali edition to change the point values for the different years based on the player count. And Allplay/BoardGameTables, they do a similar thing. So they have these long, narrow boards, which will show the setup on the top, the point values along the middle, and space for the goals on the side. And here are the goal tiles. The newer ones are larger and have a little bit of text on the bottom to explain more. But as you can see, they are same idea. Different names, but as far as I can tell, there are no differences in the goal tiles included between the two. Here's the starting tiles. So each player will have one start tile, which starts at the bottom of their play area, close to them, and they'll build up their habitat away from them. And you'll notice that in the original Cwali edition on the right, there's a road leading into the tile, which represents the entrance into the habitat. And you'll notice in the newer edition, they have these sort of white lines that feel a little bit like walls. We'll come back to that. Allplay has these wonderful Jeep pieces with art on the side, including an art in the door area for aiding differentiating between the colors for colorblind players or just playing in low light. See the Cwali edition, there are no markings on it, they're just all one solid color. But the way these markers move to represent it as a Jeep makes a lot of sense because you'll be moving these pieces around a play area, and in this edition the way you have to do it is to take these pawns and you can't stand them up. You really want to stand them up, but you can't because then you can't tell where the front is. So you actually have to lay down these pawns and say that the hat is the front of the piece. As you saw earlier, the new edition comes with a lovely bag to hold the tiles. In the old edition, you would just mix them up and make a bunch of stacks. On the bottom left is the start player marker for the new edition, and the start player will mark the different rounds of play. And on the bottom right are tokens to denote when animal habitats are completed. In the original, what you were expected to do is to flip them from upside down to right side up based on whether you had completed the requirements or not, which was a bit annoying, and I ended up adding some little transparent plastic chips. And so a similar idea was done in the new edition. They have these little cardboard tokens which you can add to the tiles as you complete them. And here are the different tiles, which again, as far as I can tell, are all identical. So the rats are the same and have the same requirements. The chameleon has the same requirements. To me, the most important thing to note here is at the top center. So you'll see that in the old edition on the right, you have these roads. The roads are external to your habitat, and so they actually denote where you cannot build. If there's a road on that side of the tile, you can't build anything on that side of the tile, which is a little bit confusing, I found, for some players, because they think like Carcassonne, you can connect road to road. So instead, what they did in the new edition was they changed this to this sort of this thick white line. It's almost like a wall in Alhambra. And that's a bit better of a visual reminder that, hey, you're not allowed to build off of this spot. Thanks for watching. Remember, older games like Habitats don't stop being good just because newer games come out. Honestly, Habitats isn't even that old. Well, anyway, take care.